All right, so are you ready to dive in? Today, we're tackling the American English accent.
Sounds fun.
We've got this video tutorial script as our guide.
Oh, cool.
And, it's amazing how many different ways there are to speak English, right?
It really is.
Yeah, accents can be super fascinating.
Totally.
So whether you want to improve your own American accent, just learn about what makes it unique.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you're just a language nerd like me,
Right.
this deep dive is for you.
Yeah.
One thing that really struck me about this script is how it breaks down the mechanics of the accent.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not just about imitating, it's about understanding why those sounds are made the way they are.
I see.
So it starts with the foundation.
Okay.
The rhotic R, the flat T, and those clear vowel sounds.
Right.
And these are some of the things that really set it apart from other English accents.
Yeah.
I never thought much about how much the R sound can change until I started listening to more British podcasts.
Interesting.
It's so noticeable. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Each accent has its own personality.
Oh,
and all this.
exactly. Like, take the American R, for example.
Okay.
When someone says car,
Yeah.
it's strong, it's rolled, almost like a little drum roll in the word.
I like that little drum roll.
But in some British accents, it can sound more like ka.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's wild how these tiny little changes completely change how a word feels.
Uh-huh.
Now, the script talks about training your ears to really pick up on these subtle differences.
Right.
And it suggests the classics, watching American movies and TV shows.
It's all about immersion, right?
Yeah.
You start to internalize those sounds and rhythms without even really realizing it.
Right.
Think about how characters in Friends or The Office deliver their lines.
Yeah.
It's so distinctly American.
It's true.
Yeah.
I tried watching a British reality show once.
Okay.
And honestly, I kept having to rewind because I couldn't understand what they were saying. I know, it was bad. But seriously, the script really emphasizes how important active listening is, especially with podcasts or audiobooks where you don't have those visual cues to help you out.
It makes you pay more attention to those details,
Yeah.
the pronunciation, the intonation, the pacing.
Yeah.
And you know what I think is interesting?
What's that?
Even though this script is suggesting these classic methods like movies and TV, technology's kind of changing the game now.
Oh, tell me about it. There are so many language learning apps out there now.
I know.
It's crazy. Do you think those are becoming more popular than the traditional methods?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but they definitely offer this level of personalization that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
It's like having a coach in your pocket that can analyze your pronunciation and give you feedback anytime you want.
That's so cool.
It is.
I definitely want to check some of those out.
Yeah, you should.
But for now, let's stick with the script. It goes into some really hands-on techniques for mastering American vowel sounds. And it even suggests practicing them in, exaggerated ways.
Oh, yeah.
Which honestly sounds kind of hilarious.
It might feel a little silly at first, but it actually works.
Okay.
Exaggerating those sounds, like really stretching out the ah in father or the I in day.
Yeah.
It helps you become aware of the actual movements your mouth is making.
So you're basically training those muscles.
Exactly. You're building that muscle memory.
Interesting. So you're training your mouth to make those sounds correctly.
Yeah, it's really effective.
It's funny.
What?
When you really think about it, so much goes into making these sounds that we just take for granted.
I know, right?
Like we don't even think about it.
Amazing.
So speaking of sounds that might need some extra practice,
Okay.
let's talk about the American R.
All right.
This script goes deep into how to make that strong rolling R.
Yeah, it even gets into the physiology of it, like how to curl your tongue back slightly without touching the roof of your mouth,
Oh, wow.
which can be surprisingly tricky for people who aren't native speakers.
Yeah, I bet.
Right.
I can imagine words like squirrel being a nightmare.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
But the script does emphasize that with practice, anyone can get those sounds down.
oh, that's good. I like that it's so encouraging.
Yeah.
And it's not just about individual sounds. This script also stresses the importance of intonation and rhythm.
Right. That's where you really get that authentic American sound.
Exactly. It adds that extra layer.
Stressing the right syllables, using rising and falling intonation, it all makes you sound more natural, more fluent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like learning to play an instrument almost. You have to get the rhythm and melody right.
I like that analogy.
It's not about focusing on each individual word. It's about thinking in phrases.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
about capturing that flow.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun ways to practice,
Okay, I'm listening.
the script mentions tongue twisters. Oh, those are
I know,
classics.
right? They're so fun.
Do you have a favorite?
Hmm. Let me think. Oh, red lorry, yellow lorry. Always gets me.
That's a good one. It really works, those R sounds.
It does. We should have a tongue twister showdown sometime.
Uh-huh. I'm up for the challenge.
All right, deal. But seriously, tongue twisters are a great way to improve your pronunciation and clarity while having a good time.
Yeah, they're a challenge, but they're fun.
Exactly. And speaking of practice, the script really emphasizes imitation and immersion,
Oh, yeah.
like shadowing native speakers, mimicking scenes from movies.
Right.
It's all about surrounding yourself with those sounds.
It's like soaking it all in.
Exactly. And if you want that more personalized feedback, the script suggests using those language learning apps we talked about.
Oh, yeah, or even working with a tutor.
Mhm.
It's amazing how many resources are out there now.
It is, and it all comes back to that idea of immersion, right?
Exactly.
Engaging with American culture through music, movies, books.
The whole shebang. Yeah. The more you expose yourself to it, the more natural it starts to feel.
Exactly.
I love how encouraging the script is. So what do you think is the most fascinating thing we discussed so far?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think what really stands out to me is how much technology is changing the way we approach accent training.
I agree. It's amazing.
It's really opened up a lot of doors.
And I'm really intrigued by that idea of exaggerating sounds to build muscle memory.
Yeah,
It's such a simple concept, but it makes so much sense.
it does.
But we're just scratching the surface here. There's still so much more to uncover.
I know.
I'm already thinking about how accents shape the way we interact with each other and perceive each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there's this whole unspoken language there.
It's fascinating.
And it can have such a huge impact on how we view each other, even if we don't realize it.
It's true.
It really makes you think. But we'll save that conversation for next time.
Sounds good.
For now, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about. And hopefully they're feeling inspired to keep practicing and exploring all the cool intricacies of the American English accent.
I hope so, too.
We'll be back soon to continue our deep dive into the world of accents. Until then, keep those ears open and those tongues practicing.
See you next time.
Eh.
It's interesting. We were just talking about how those sounds work.
Uh-huh.
But accents are so much more than just like pronunciation.
Oh, totally.
They're really tied to social stuff, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like how people see each other and even biases.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like there's this whole other level of meaning
Right.
that we kind of subconsciously attach to different accents.
Yeah.
We might not even realize we're doing it,
Right.
but certain accents can make us think of certain images or stereotypes.
It's true. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, think about how they use accents in movies or TV shows.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
They can show your character's background, like where they're from,
Right.
or even their social class, or if they're trustworthy.
It's wild how just the way someone says a word can change how we see them.
And those perceptions can really matter in real life.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like studies show that people with certain accents might be treated differently in job interviews or social situations.
Wow.
It's kind of sad, but it's a reminder that even though accents are totally normal, they can be judged unfairly,
Yeah, that's a good point.
like judging a book by its cover.
Exactly.
But the cover is how someone talks.
Right.
So it's really important to be more aware and understanding,
I agree.
to realize that an accent just shows you where someone's language comes from. It doesn't tell you how smart they are or what kind of person they are.
I think it's great that more people are starting to embrace accents
Me too.
and seeing how valuable they are.
Definitely.
Instead of thinking of them as something to fix.
Right, exactly.
They're part of someone's culture and identity.
Yeah.
This whole conversation is making me think about how accents shape communication in all these subtle ways.
It really is complex, isn't it?
It's like they have their own secret language that tells you something about someone's background and what they've been through.
That's a good way to put it.
And even if we don't realize it, those things can affect how we react to each other.
It's pretty amazing how something so small can make such a big difference.
So true. It makes you realize that good communication is about way more than just the words you say.
Right.
It's about being tuned in to all those little things.
Yeah.
Understanding different ways people communicate
Mm-hmm.
and being careful about misinterpreting things.
It's about making sure everyone feels heard and respected.
I like that. No
Oh.
matter how they speak.
Exactly.
Before we move on, I wanted to go back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
technology and how it's affecting accent modification.
Hmm.
The script talks about apps and stuff, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on how it's changing things.
Well, it's a total game changer.
I think so too.
It's made accent training available to so many more people.
Right. It used to be so limited.
I know.
You might have had some tapes or a tutor if you were lucky.
Exactly.
But now, with apps and websites, almost anyone can get personalized training.
Yeah, as long as you have internet, you're good to go.
And it's not just about being easy to access.
Yeah.
These apps use really advanced tech to analyze your speech and give you specific feedback.
It's like having a speech coach right in your pocket.
It really is.
And they're getting better all the time.
Yeah.
Learning from all the people who use them.
It's amazing how personalized learning is becoming.
It really is.
Not just for accents, but for everything.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But even with all this new technology,
Yeah.
I still think there's something special about those traditional methods of accent modification,
Yeah.
like immersing yourself in the culture.
Oh, absolutely.
That's where the real fun is, I think.
I agree.
There's just something about experiencing a language firsthand.
Yeah, through its music and movies and just everyday conversations.
Yeah, it's about absorbing the whole spirit of the language, the
Uh-huh.
little things that you can't learn from a textbook.
And American culture has so much to offer.
It really does.
There's something for everyone.
From old Hollywood movies to new TV shows, from jazz to hip hop.
So many ways to immerse yourself in the sounds of American English.
And thanks to the internet, you can find it all no matter where you are.
Right. It's never been easier to connect with other cultures and languages
I think the key is finding a balance between those traditional methods and the new tech tools.
They can work really well together.
Yeah, it's all about finding what works best for you.
And creating your own way of learning.
This whole conversation has made me realize something.
What's that?
Learning a new accent can really change you.
In what way?
It's not just about saying words right.
Yeah.
It's about challenging yourself,
Mhm.
getting out of your comfort zone,
Right.
opening your mind to new ways of thinking.
It's about embracing something new and finding out something new about yourself.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
It's not just about the technical stuff.
Yeah.
It's about the bigger picture.
Like how language and culture and identity are all connected.
It is.
And it's about remembering that language is powerful.
It can connect people and help them understand each other.
Well said. You know, this has all got me thinking about something.
Oh, what's that?
We've talked about how people perceive accents,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, how do you think accents will change in the future? With globalization and technology always changing how we talk,
Yeah.
do you think they'll become more similar or more different?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
Me neither, but it's exciting to think about. What do you think? It's a tough one. I think technology is going to be a big part of it,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
but it's hard to say if it'll make accents more similar or more different.
It really is. You could argue that as we talk to people all over the world, more accents might start to kind of blend together.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like we hear so many ways of speaking through movies and music and online.
Yeah, it's true. Even with my friends, I've noticed our accents have changed a bit over time.
Interesting.
We've picked up little things from each other without even realizing it.
It's like language is always
Yeah.
changing and evolving, right?
It really is.
But then on the other hand,
Yeah.
you could say technology might actually help keep those regional accents alive too.
That's a good point. How so?
Well, think about it. People are really connected to their local communities now.
Yeah, through social media and stuff.
Exactly. So they can share their own way of speaking and celebrate where they're from.
It's like technology is creating these spaces online where people can connect with others who speak like them.
Right. And that could make people want to preserve those local dialects even more.
Yeah, I like that idea. It would be sad to lose all those different accents around the world.
I agree.
But you know, something else that's been on my mind since reading this script
What's that?
is the actual science behind how accents work.
Oh, yeah.
Those tongue twisters really got me thinking about it.
Well, they're more than just a fun game, you know?
I know, but how?
They actually use some pretty cool stuff happening in your brain.
Oh, wow.
When you speak,
Yeah,
your brain has to make all these different parts of your mouth move together.
like your tongue and lips.
Yep. And your vocal cords, too.
It's amazing we do it without even thinking.
It really is. But tongue twisters, they mess with that smooth process.
Oh, because they make your brain work harder.
Exactly. All those tricky sounds in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a workout for your brain, trying to get those words out right.
And the more you practice those sounds, the
Yeah,
better your brain gets at making them.
that's it. You're strengthening those connections in your brain and improving how you say things overall.
It's like building muscle memory, but for your brain.
Uh-huh, exactly.
That's so cool. I'm going to be practicing tongue twisters way more now.
Me too.
Yeah.
They're fun, and they're good for you. But after this whole deep dive into the American English accent,
Yeah.
I've realized something.
What's that?
Accents are just one piece of this bigger puzzle of how we communicate.
Yeah, that's a great point. We've talked about how to say the sounds, how people think about them, even the science behind it all.
It's a lot.
But in the end, it's really about connecting with other people and sharing what's on your mind.
It is, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you have a perfect American accent or you speak a certain way because of where you're from.
Mm.
What really matters is that we try to understand each other.
So well said. I think that's the perfect way to wrap things up.
I agree.
We've learned so much today
We have.
about how sounds work, how accents can make people think different things, even a little bit about how our brains deal with language.
And hopefully everyone listening is feeling inspired to keep learning about language.
I hope so too. Who knows what other cool things we'll discover.
Keep listening and keep practicing.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive.